So I bought the oldest and cheapest Mac Studio. It's the M1 Max from 2022 and it's the base model. And after some time of using it, I got inspired to make this video to show you guys that you don't need to upgrade to the latest Mac or PC or whatever you're using, because what you have is probably more than enough. And to further drive the point that I'm trying to make, I'm going to compare my Mac Studio, which is over there, to my MacBook, which is right here in front of me, and my gaming PC that I used to use for everything that I do. So the specs of the PC are as follows. It has a Ryzen 5 5600X CPU, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and an RTX 3060. The laptop is an M1 from 2020 and it has 16 gigs of RAM. And like I mentioned, the Mac Studio over there is the base model. So it's an M1 Max with 32 gigs of RAM. Now, before getting the Mac Studio, I was using the PC for literally everything that I do, from music production to video editing. And if I'm not home or if there's no power, I would use the laptop for the same things because it's decently powered and it can handle most of the things that I want to do. And then the reason why I wanted to switch from the PC to the Mac Studio is because, number one, I wanted to be on the same platform, whether it's Windows or Mac, and Mac for me made the most sense. But also the PC just caused too much clutter on the desk because I couldn't put it on top of the desk without it being a spectacle, like demanding too much attention on the desk. But also if I put it on the floor, then it means that there's too many cables just running from the desk to the PC, which was not nice to look at. So with the Mac Studio, it's much nicer on the desk. You can put it on top of it without it being a spectacle, but also the cables just run under the desk. Anyway, I'm going to be comparing these machines on three things. Number one is music production, video editing, and DJing. And while doing all of these things, I'm going to have them connected to an inverter just to show how much power they're drawing while doing all of these tests. For music production, I'm going to take the same FL Studio project and put it in each of these machines and then hit export and then measure how long it takes for each machine to export. And then I'm going to play the same project in FL Studio and measure how much CPU each machine is using. And then finally, obviously, it's going to be the power that is being drawn from the inverter. And then for video editing, I'm going to take the same Premiere Pro project and export it in each of these machines and measure the export time and obviously the power consumption. And then for DJing, it's going to be a bit tricky because generally DJing doesn't use a lot of CPU power, but there is one task that I noticed takes up too much time and does in fact use a lot of CPU, and that is stem separation and tractor. So for music production, while playing the track in FL Studio, the PC was at 38% CPU usage, the MacBook was at 37%, and the Mac Studio was at 30%. So the Mac Studio was actually using less CPU to achieve the same thing. And then the export time for the track, meaning that I export the track from FL Studio to an MP3 or a WAV file, the PC won actually. It's the only time that the PC wins against the Mac Studio. The PC took 3 minutes and 57 seconds. The MacBook took 6 minutes and 25 seconds, so it's much longer. And then the Mac Studio is about 19 seconds slower than the PC, so it's 4 minutes and 16 seconds. However, for power usage, the PC was much higher than the rest. So it was using 139 watts, the MacBook was using 38 watts, and the Mac Studio was using 50 watts. So it's almost 3 times what the Mac Studio was using, which is kind of crazy. And then now let's move on to video editing. So the PC took 5 minutes and 19 seconds, while the MacBook took 11 minutes 49 seconds, so it's much slower. However, the Mac Studio, while being quiet, took only 3 minutes and 58 seconds. And the power usage is even crazier here because the PC was using 294 watts and then the MacBook was using 44 watts, while the Mac Studio was using 92 watts. And here's the thing, right? I know that the PC is powerful. Like, you know the specs of the PC, and I know that I wouldn't have to upgrade anything for what I do at least. But the fact that the Mac Studio, as small as it is, beat the PC while using a third of the power while running silent, it's crazy for me. And then now for stem separation, the PC took 1 minute 49 seconds, so it's pretty quick. However, the MacBook was actually faster than the PC. It was 1 minute and 41 seconds. And then the Mac Studio was even faster. It was 1 minute and 24 seconds. It's just crazy to me how fast this Mac Studio is. And if you upgrade to like an M4 Max or something, you will see some differences. Like let's say instead of 1 minute and 24 seconds, it's 1 minute and 12 seconds. However, how much time do you really want to save at that point? Honestly, I know that I can safely use this thing for like 5 years without needing to worry about anything. And every time I watch these reviewers review the latest M4 or whatever, I feel the need to buy these things, but honestly, I don't need to, and you too don't need to buy these things. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.